All right, let's dive into the future of work, or I guess the future of getting things done.
Hmm. Sounds intriguing.
Today we're going to be talking about agentic process automation, APA.
APA.
Basically, it's like automation, but on steroids, right?
Hmm.
Instead of the simple bots we've been using, we're talking about AI agents that can, learn, adapt, make decisions, all that jazz within our workflows. Imagine, what if automation wasn't just for those boring, repetitive tasks?
Right.
What if AI could, handle the tough decisions, optimize stuff on the fly, even learn from experience? That's a game changer. That's the whole idea behind APA, and we're going to break it all down today using this really in-depth report from the analysts at BOT NIRVANA. It's called Agentic Process Automation, How AI Agents Are Revolutionizing Enterprise Automation. So, what are your thoughts on how we even got to this point? Like, how did automation evolve to where it is today?
It's interesting when you look at those early automation systems, they were all about, following rigid rules. Great for simple things, those repetitive tasks, but anything requiring, a bit of judgment, forget about it.
Yeah, it's like trying to write a novel using only emojis. Not going to work.
Exactly. Then came intelligent automation, or IA, and IA brought in, some AI capabilities, things like machine learning that helped us, deal with those more complex situations.
So that's progress, but
But true dynamic decision making, still a distant dream.
okay, so that's where APA comes in.
Right.
Where does it fit into all of this?
APA, it's the next big leap, right?
Hmm.
Instead of just adding AI as an afterthought, APA actually embeds AI agents right into the workflow. And these agents, they're powered by these things called large language models.
LLMs.
LLMs, exactly. Think of them as like supercharged AI brains. They can actually understand and respond to some pretty complex information.
So we're not just automating the tasks anymore, we're automating decisions.
Precisely. And these APA-powered systems, they can adapt to changes, learn from experience, and make those decisions in real time.
So it's like going from that basic calculator to a supercomputer. It not only crunches numbers, but understands context, sees patterns, even suggests calculations we haven't thought of.
A perfect analogy.
Now, this APA revolution, it's not just happening out of the blue. There's got to be some driving forces behind it, right?
Right. And the report talks about these converging trends putting immense pressure on businesses.
Let's hear it.
First, think about how complex businesses are today. Processes, they're all interconnected, spanning multiple systems, often across the globe. Traditional automation just can't handle it.
Yeah, and then there's the sheer amount of data. We're drowning in it. How can anyone, even with the best intentions, make sense of it all?
It's near impossible.
Let alone make good decisions in the heat of the moment.
Exactly. And finally, the need for agility. Businesses need to be able to change direction quickly in today's world.
Pivot on a dime.
Right. They need automation that can keep up. That's where APA really shines.
So APA, it's not just some fancy tech upgrade. It's crucial for businesses if they want to survive, maybe even thrive in this new reality.
It is.
But let's be real. I'm sure our listeners are thinking, okay, great, but what's in it for me?
It's a great question. The report breaks down the value of APA into three main things: enhanced efficiency, better decisions, and happier customers.
Right, because the report actually puts some numbers to these benefits. For example, companies using APA for, let's say, invoice processing, they saw processing time reduced by 15%, errors decreased by 10%.
That's right, significant cost savings.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving money, it's about freeing up those talented people you have so they can focus on the work that requires, a human touch, the creative stuff, the strategic thinking.
Exactly. You're essentially giving them a raise, not in dollars, but in job satisfaction.
Exactly. And then there's the whole AI thing. It can analyze mountains of data and uncover insights that we humans would just miss.
We simply don't have the time or the capacity.
Right. And this leads to smarter decisions, less risk, and ultimately a more competitive business.
For sure.
The report highlights a financial services company, for example, that used APA to analyze customer data and personalize their investment recommendations.
Interesting.
They saw a 10% increase in customer satisfaction and a 5% bump in sales. That's a real tangible impact.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the customer experience.
Yeah, because APA can enable faster response times, more personalized interactions, even 247 availability.
Right. Imagine never waiting on hold for customer service again. That's a future I think we can all get behind.
Absolutely. Now, to really grasp how this all works in practice, let's look at the supply chain example from the report.
Okay, good choice. Supply chains are notoriously complex.
So many moving parts.
Exactly. Traditionally, if you wanted to automate something like, order fulfillment, you'd need a bunch of different technologies, RPA, IPS, the list goes on. It gets messy, slow to implement, and a nightmare to maintain.
So how does APA change things?
With APA, you can have, let's say, an order fulfillment agent. It gathers real-time data from all your suppliers, looks at inventory levels, shipping times, even considers things like, weather or traffic, and then it chooses the best option for fulfillment dynamically.
So instead of having all these separate systems trying to communicate, you have this one smart agent running the entire show. Seamlessly.
Seamlessly.
And that's just one example. The possibilities with APA are endless, really.
Okay, so it's clear APA has the potential to completely change how we work. And I'm sure we're all excited to see how this unfolds. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's step back and consider the companies driving this revolution.
Right.
Who are the major players in the APA landscape?
That's a great segue. And we'll dive into that in part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back. So we've talked about the potential of agentic process automation.
Yeah, some pretty impressive stuff.
Now let's get into the companies that are actually making it happen. Because, the APA landscape, it's a little crowded right now. Who should we be paying attention to? Well, the BOT NIRVANA report, it breaks down the major players into a few different categories. Makes it easier to understand, this whole evolving ecosystem.
Okay, makes sense. So let's start with the big guys, the cloud giants.
Right.
Microsoft, IBM, Amazon. What's their approach to APA?
Well, they have a bit of a head start, don't they? They already have this massive cloud infrastructure and a ton of AI experts on staff.
Right.
So it makes sense for them to, just integrate AI agent capabilities right into their existing platforms.
So for companies that are already using those platforms, it's probably a pretty smooth transition.
Exactly.
Now, does it say if any of these companies have a particular edge?
They do highlight Microsoft's Copilot Studio.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It lets you build custom AI agents, and it works really well with, Microsoft 365 and their Power Platform.
So if you're already a Microsoft shop, it could be a good way to get started with APA.
Definitely.
But what about those businesses using a mix of different platforms? What about them?
That's where IBM might be a good fit. They're really pushing their Watson X platform.
Watson X.
Yeah, it gives you a bunch of tools to build and manage your own AI agents, even if you don't have a lot of coding experience.
So more of a do-it-yourself approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they have this the sophisticated workflow orchestration layer. It helps manage all the interactions between, different AI agents and different systems.
Sounds pretty flexible.
It is. But the report does mention that IBM's pricing, it can be a bit complicated. And some of the more advanced features, they have a bit of a learning curve.
Got it. So what about Amazon? What are they up to?
Amazon, they're a bit of a wild card in the APA space. They're developing something called Amazon Q Business Automate. It's supposed to make creating complex workflows super simple.
Okay, tell me more.
Imagine you can just, talk to an AI and tell it what you want to automate. No more like tedious coding or configuration.
That's pretty ambitious.
It is.
Too good to be true.
Maybe.
The
report, it reminds us that it's still early days for this tech.
Right. We'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the cloud giants. What about those companies that were already focused on automation before APA even came along?
Yeah, good point. The established RPA vendors like UiPath and Automation, anywhere, they're not just sitting around.
Of course not.
They're adding agentic features to their existing tools so their customers can, upgrade their existing automations.
So instead of starting from scratch, you can build on what you already have.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty appealing, but are there any downsides?
Well, the report mentions that integrating these new AI agents with, those older RPA automations, it can get pretty complicated.
Makes sense.
And RPA bots, they can be pretty sensitive to any changes in, user interfaces or back-end systems.
So you could end up spending a lot of time and money on just keeping things running.
Exactly. And then there's ServiceNow.
ServiceNow.
They're already really strong in IT service management, operations management.
So they're coming at this from a slightly different angle.
They are. They call it Agentic AI.
Agentic AI.
It's basically using AI agents to automate tasks and improve the productivity of, human agents. Think of it like a super-powered help desk.
So instead of replacing humans, they're just making them more efficient.
Exactly.
I like that approach.
It's a good one.
But is ServiceNow realistic for every business?
It depends. They have this very comprehensive platform, but it can be, complex and expensive to implement.
I bet.
Might not be the right fit for, smaller companies with tighter budgets.
Makes sense. Now, I'm curious about some of the smaller, maybe more specialized companies in this space. Any up-and-comers that stand out?
There are a few. Relevance AI, for example.
Relevance AI.
Yeah, as an Australian company, they're trying to make AI agent creation accessible to, a wider audience.
So, like democratizing APA.
Exactly. They have a low-code platform. So you can build and deploy your own AI agents without needing, a computer science degree.
That's pretty cool. Seems like the barrier to entry for APA is getting lower and lower.
It is.
What other innovative companies are out there?
There's Cognitos.
Cognito?
Yeah. They're doing some interesting things with natural language process automation. They let you create automation workflows using, like, plain English.
No more wrestling with complex code. I like the sound of that.
Right. And their APA platform, it's called HAL, it uses this neurosymbolic brain, combines the flexibility of generative AI with, the reliability of those traditional rule-based systems.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. But, as with any newer company, they don't have the same track record as some of the bigger players.
Right. So there's always that trade-off, the excitement of the new versus, the comfort of experience.
Exactly.
What other companies are kind of pushing the boundaries here?
Orbi AI.
Or BAI?
Yeah. They're really all about AI agents. They use their own large action model.
Lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of Actio. It's specifically designed to handle those action in, action out workflows.
So they're really focused on making sure AI agents can actually get things done in the real world.
Exactly. And they're big on neurosymbolic reliability. So it's the flexibility of AI combined with, the control and governance that companies need.
Right.
Plus, they have this really cool process discovery tool. It observes user behavior and automatically generates process maps.
So they're not just automating tasks, they're automating the automation process.
Precisely.
Pretty impressive.
It is. But, like you said, with Cognitos, being a newer company, it has its challenges.
Right.
They're facing some tough competition from those big established companies with, deeper pockets.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they do.
It will. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. It's clear that the APA landscape, it's pretty diverse.
Yes.
Lots of different companies, lots of different approaches. How is anyone supposed to make sense of it all?
That's where the BOT NIRVANA report really shines. They've done a great job of breaking down all this information into, a set of key things for businesses to consider.
So it's like a cheat sheet for navigating the APA market.
Exactly. First, you need to think about what you actually want your AI agents to do. How sophisticated do they need to be?
Right, their reasoning, their learning abilities.
Exactly. And do they need any specialized skills like, document processing or data analysis?
So start with a clear understanding of your needs and your goals. Then what?
Then you think about workflow automation. Can the platform actually support the complex workflows that you need? Can you easily integrate those AI agents into your existing systems? And what about, human oversight? Can you step in and adjust things if needed?
So it's not just about the AI, it's about how the platform supports the human side of things as well. What other considerations are there?
Integration and connectivity.
Right, because it's got to work with your existing systems.
Exactly. Can the APA solution work with all your, enterprise systems, data sources, APIs?
Seamlessly, hopefully.
Right. And then there's security and compliance. That's a big one. You need to know those AI agents are handling sensitive data responsibly and complying with, all the rules.
Especially with AI taking on more and more responsibility.
Absolutely. They also talk about exception handling and human oversight. What happens when the AI agent encounters something it can't handle on its own? Is there a process for escalating to a human?
Right. You need a plan for when things go wrong, because they will go wrong at some point.
Exactly. And then there's scalability and performance. Can the solution handle the volume of data and transactions you need? Will it slow your systems down?
Yeah, performance is key.
And of course, you need to think about the cost and the value. Is the pricing model clear and easy to understand? And can you show a clear return on investment?
Right, so can you prove that APA is actually going to save you money or even make you money in the long run?
Exactly. And finally, don't underestimate vendor support and community. Is there a good knowledge base, a responsive help desk, an active user community?
Yeah, that stuff's important. Okay, so it sounds like choosing the right APA solution, it's a pretty complex decision. But by following these guidelines in the report, businesses can improve their chances of success.
Definitely. The APA market, it's dynamic, it's changing fast, but by being thoughtful and doing their homework, businesses can find a solution that'll help them, unlock the potential of this tech.
So, what can our listeners do to start preparing for this future of work? One that's increasingly driven by AI agents and automation.
Well, I think the most important thing is to embrace continuous learning.
Okay, because this landscape is constantly changing.
It is. Stay up to date on, the latest trends, technologies, and best practices.
So don't be afraid to, dive in and experiment.
Exactly. The great thing about APA is that it's incredibly versatile and adaptable.
And remember, human oversight is more important than ever. We need to be thoughtful about how we design and monitor these AI agents to make sure they're working ethically and effectively.
Exactly. APA is a powerful tool. You can change how we work, but it's up to us to guide its development and use it to create, a better future for everyone.
Now let's shift our focus to that future. What trends and predictions are shaping the APA landscape? We'll explore that in part 3 of our deep dive. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into agentic process automation. So we've talked about what APA is, why it's such a big deal, and who the major players are. Now let's look ahead. What does the future hold for this technology? What's coming next?
Well, the future of APA, it's full of possibilities. I mean, it's already changing how businesses operate, but we're really just scratching the surface.
I'm curious about the specific trends that the BOT NIRVANA analysts highlighted in their report. What's on the horizon?
One of the big ones is the rise of autonomous AI agents. So imagine AI agents that can not only execute workflows, but actually create and manage them, all on their own. They can adapt to changes, learn from new data, optimize for better results, and all without any human intervention.
It's like having a whole team of super smart automation experts working 24/7, constantly finding ways to improve our processes.
Right.
Are there any real-world examples of this already happening?
The report talks about a manufacturing company that's using these autonomous AI agents to manage their production line. So the agents monitor equipment performance, they predict maintenance needs, and even adjust production schedules in real time to optimize output and minimize downtime.
So it's not just about automating individual tasks, it's about automating entire systems.
Exactly. And that trend, toward greater autonomy, it's only going to pick up speed as AI technology continues to advance.
Makes sense. Now, another thing I've been hearing a lot about lately is open source AI. What does that mean for APA?
It means that the power of AI agent technology, it's not just limited to, big tech companies anymore. Smaller companies, startups, even individual developers, they can all access these powerful tools now.
So it's leveling the playing field. What kind of impact do you think this will have on the development of APA?
Well, the report predicts a surge in creativity and customization. We're going to see AI agents tailored for very specific needs, specific industries, even individual businesses. It's going to be exciting to see what people come up with.
So the APA landscape is only going to become more diverse and dynamic. What other trends should we be paying attention to?
The rise of vertical-specific AI solutions. We're already seeing this with companies like Cognitos and Orbi AI, but it's going to become even more pronounced. Imagine AI agents that are custom-built for healthcare or finance or manufacturing.
So instead of having these generic AI agents that try to be everything to everyone, we'll have specialists.
Exactly. Specialists with a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities in specific industries. That means more precise and impactful automation.
Okay, so lots of potential benefits here. But as AI gets more sophisticated and takes on more responsibility, what about the ethical considerations? Are those addressed in the report?
They are. As we give these AI agents more autonomy, more access to data, we need to think about the ethics for sure.
So what are some of the key things to consider in this area?
Transparency and explainability. We need to understand how AI agents are making their decisions, especially when those decisions have a big impact on people.
So it's not enough to just have AI agents that work. We need AI agents that we can trust.
Right, exactly. And that trust, it comes from knowing that these systems are operating fairly, without bias, and in a way that we can understand.
So we need to build those safeguards into these systems right from the start.
We do. Now, there's always that big question when we talk about automation. What about jobs? Is APA going to put people out of work?
Right, it's a valid concern. What's the report's take on that?
Well, the BOT NIRVANA analysts, they offer a more optimistic view. They say that APA is not about replacing humans. It's about augmenting human capabilities.
So taking over the boring, repetitive tasks and freeing us up to focus on the stuff that requires human creativity and problem solving.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder.
I like the sound of that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into agentic process automation, What are your final thoughts for our listeners? What's the one key takeaway they should remember?
Embrace the change. APA is here to stay, and it's going to reshape how we work and live. Don't be afraid to dive in and experiment, explore the possibilities.
The future of work is a collaboration between people and AI. We need to embrace that collaboration and use it to build a better future for everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of agentic process automation. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. The future is what we make it, and with APA, the possibilities are truly limitless.